$70 million strategic bomber from another era levels out at 35,000 feet above the dark Persian Gulf. Inside the cockpit of the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, 8 engines rumble steadily as the crew lines up their next launch window. The pilots are calm, confident. What the defenders below don't realize is that the attack has already been calculated. But before we continue, there's one thing worth asking. Why would the United States send a 70-year-old bomber into one of the most heavily defended regions in the world? Because long before the first missile left the wing, the battle for the sky had already been decided. The quiet setup. 3 days earlier, the situation looked very different. Iran's western radar chain was active. Surface-to-air batteries scanned the sky. Command centers exchanged encrypted traffic across fiber networks. Operators sat under dim lights, staring at glowing radar scopes. Then the disruptions began. First, intermittent signal noise. Then, false tracks. Then entire radar sectors blinking offline. Electronic warfare aircraft, somewhere beyond the horizon, were flooding Iranian frequencies with interference. At the same time, cyber teams were attacking the command network that linked early warning radars to missile batteries. Within hours, the integrated air defense system started losing cohesion. Not destroyed, but confused, disconnected. Exactly the environment American planners wanted. Because once the network fractures, individual air defense units become blind islands. And that's when heavy bombers enter the picture. The bomber they never expected. The aircraft approaching now first flew in 1952, yet it still carries one of the largest weapons payloads in military aviation. Up to 70,000 pounds of bombs and missiles can be loaded into its bays and wing pylons. Guided bombs, cruise missiles, electronic decoys. The B-52 was designed for one purpose: overwhelming firepower. And unlike stealth bombers, it doesn't need to sneak through defenses. It simply launches from outside them. Today's mission is exactly that. Each aircraft carries a mix of standoff weapons. Some are joint direct attack munition kits attached to conventional bombs, converting them into GPS-guided weapons capable of striking targets with precision. Others are AGM-158 JASSM cruise missiles, designed to travel hundreds of kilometers before striking hardened targets. The defenders below know none of this. From their perspective, the skies are quiet. Two different realities. Inside the Iranian command bunker near the coast, operators are confident. Their radars are still operating. Their missile launchers are loaded. And somewhere out there, American aircraft must be approaching. But nothing appears on the screen. No formations, no inbound strike packages, just scattered noise. They assume the Americans are still too far away. Meanwhile, inside the B-52 cockpit, the crew is watching a very different picture. A digital tactical display shows every radar site, every communications relay, every missile battery. Targets marked in green, launch windows counting down. Distance to release point, 120 kilometers. The navigator confirms coordinates. The weapons officer arms the missile racks. Outside the cockpit, the night air vibrates with the deep hum of 8 turbofan engines. The countdown. 110 kilometers. Below, an Iranian radar station sweeps the sky. A faint signal flickers, then disappears. The operator adjusts gain levels. Still nothing. 95 kilometers. Inside the bomber, the weapons officer reads off the next target. Command and control relay station. Underground communications hub. Missile coordination center. Each one a critical node in Iran's defense network. Destroy them, and every missile launcher becomes isolated. 80 kilometers. The bomber formation spreads slightly. Each aircraft assigned a different strike package. The pilots maintain radio silence. Only short data bursts pass through encrypted Link 16 networks. The moment of launch, 70 kilometers. Release window in 10 seconds. The weapons officer flips the final switch. A dull mechanical thud echoes through the fuselage. One missile drops free, then another. Within seconds, a cascade of cruise missiles slips into the darkness. Engines ignite. Small flames flash beneath each weapon as they accelerate away from the bomber. From the ground, nothing is visible. The missiles fly low, silent, guided by terrain following systems and satellite navigation. And now the countdown shifts. 10 minutes to impact. Inside the Iranian command bunker, alarms begin to chirp. At first, they think it's interference. Then a radar technician freezes. Multiple inbound contacts, but the tracks are strange. Too low, too fast, too many. He tries to confirm. The system struggles to classify them. Cruise missiles. But by the time the system identifies them, they're already inside defensive range. 6 minutes. Missile batteries attempt to lock on, but the command network is fragmented. Target data is delayed. Launch authorization takes too long. Some units fire anyway. Surface-to-air missiles streak into the sky. But cruise missiles are small, hard to detect, harder to hit. Most slip through the defensive net. 3 minutes. Inside the bunker, tension spikes. Operators shout coordinates. Radar tracks multiply. New alerts appear every second. Someone realizes what's happening. This isn't a probing attack. It's a decapitation strike. Every missile is aimed at the command network itself, and without command nodes, the entire defense collapses. Impact. The first explosion hits the communications relay tower. A bright flash lights up the desert. Seconds later, another missile slams into the underground control complex. Shockwaves ripple through reinforced concrete. Then a third strike. Then a fourth. Across hundreds of kilometers, command centers vanish one by one. Radar stations go dark. Data links fail. Launch batteries suddenly lose contact with headquarters. The realization. Inside the bunker, screens flicker. Communications lines drop. The radar network collapses into scattered fragments. Operators stare at blank displays, and that's when the realization hits. The bombers were never the real target. The network was. Without coordination, their entire air defense system becomes dozens of isolated units, each blind, each alone. Above them, the B-52 formation turns quietly toward home. The pilots never even entered hostile airspace. The strategic lesson. Modern warfare isn't about who has the most missiles or the fastest aircraft. It's about information. Who sees the battlefield first? Who understands it best? And who removes the enemy's ability to respond. The B-52 is older than most of the people watching this video, yet with modern sensors and precision weapons, it remains one of the most dangerous aircraft ever built. Because in modern war, victory doesn't come from the newest machine. It comes from controlling the system around it. But here's the question. If older bombers like the B-52 can still dominate modern battlefields, what does that say about the future of air warfare?